Welcome our viewers to another edition of our major topic of discussion. You remember or you recall that in the first edition we are discussing or redefining who a tourist or what the definition of tourism. So, we said that this is a person who travels with a purpose to a tourism destination. And when he reaches a tourism destination, he's going to consume different tourism products. And it is from that we picked that we saw necessary that our next topic of discussion should be what is a tourism product, or understanding a tourism product, and how is a tourism product different from other products, let's say, that we buy from other industries, manufacturing or ICT. And allow me at this point, I came in with an expert, a senior lecturer of tourism and hospitality at different universities. He has taught at University of Tourism and Business Technology. He teaches at East African University. He has taught at Makerere University, has taught at Mount Kenya University, courses of tourism and hospitality. And allow me also to acknowledge him because he's one of my lecturers at one of the great universities in East Africa, Makerere University, when I was studying travel and tourism management. So allow me at this juncture to welcome Mr. Booker Anderson Sentongo, who will discuss for our audience what a tourism product is and what are the major tourism products of East Africa. And if possible, you'll go deep to discuss where these products can be found. Mr. Sentongo Booker, you are welcome to discuss these key issues in tourism to our audience. The floor is yours. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tushabe, Emmanuel. I'm glad that you have given me this opportunity to also appear on this channel, which is going to make a very positive impact in relation to educating the general public and other tourism enthusiasts about tourism, so that they can get to appreciate it more. Tourism, the question that you have posed on what are tourism products is a very good question. We know that the tourism product is a complex product. I would say it is actually multidimensional. Many times when I want to approach this question, one of the best ways of approaching it, I normally say the tourism product is equal to or comprises of the 5 A's. Which are these 5 A's? The product has one of the A's are the attractions. They are part and parcel of the tourism product. And this is a very, very important part or component of the tourism product. The attractions have both natural and man-made attractions. We have some which are natural, which are like lakes, rivers and all that. Those are natural. And we also have those which are man-made, like museums and other things, and those are man-made structures or components. The second A, because I talked about 5 A's, which make the tourism product, is accommodation. This is a very important part or component of the tourism product, because when the tourists go to these destinations, apart from enjoying and appreciating the attractions, they need the element of accommodation. So it is part of the tourism product, and accommodation is going to come in form of the lodging, the different hotels or places where they are going to be accommodated, and they get food service and other such services, hospitality services. The other A, because I talked about 5, the third A is the A of accessibility, or this is the component which touches on transport or transportation. Accessibility, how do you access the destination, brings in the transport element, transport infrastructure, modes of transport, which are going to be used, and these are also very, very important to getting the visitor to a level of satisfaction, because all these components of the product at the end of the day are going to help in satisfying the tourist who is visiting the destination. So that element is also part and parcel of that. The fourth A is the A which is related to activities. Activities have to be carried out. And though this A is very much related to the attractions, but we know that these activities are going to be derived from the activities are going to be derived from the attraction. And so you need a diversity of activities that are going to preoccupy the tourist when they are in the destination. And it is these activities which are going to also determine the duration of stay in a destination, or length of stay, longevity of stay. What this means is how many or number of days that the tourist, I'm trying to simplify it for our audience that may not understand some of these technical words. The number of days the tourist stays at a destination is very, very important. And this is going to depend on both the attractions, which is the first I mentioned, but also on the activities that are going to be done there. So activities, very, very important. And the last A is the A of amenities. The amenities are also sometimes in tourism, for us as tourism professionals, these are also the ones that we describe as the support services or ancillary services. These are services which are going to support all these other A's that I've already mentioned, which are going to be needed. I'll mention one or two important ones. One of the important ones which is known a lot, for example, the tour guiding service. We need that service a lot when tourists are being taken around in a destination. They will need that guiding service, driver guides, but also guides at the attraction sites, and other guides who are going to help them, share information with them, because they have come to the destination also to learn and get informed about what these attractions have to offer and things like that. So those amenities, other amenities also include other support services and facilities which support and enhance the enjoyment of the other elements that I've already mentioned. So all in all, as I sum up what the tourism product is, therefore, it is complex, like I said, multidimensional, and it is inclusive of all those different components that I've mentioned, which are all combined together to enhance the satisfaction of the tourist or the guest. I'll move quickly to the second question, which my colleague, the doctor here, has posed, which was the question on what are the major tourism products of East Africa. Yeah, as East Africans, because we are East Africans, I'm from Uganda, that I've worked also in Rwanda for many years. We have some products that are similar. We have some similarity in our kind of products. And the major one that I would start with, which cuts across, or which is cross-cutting in the whole East African region, which I would say is the first one, is the wildlife tourism product. The wildlife tourism product is the main one, and when you look at almost all the East African countries, from Kenya, Tanzania to Uganda, where I come from, even Rwanda here, wildlife is a main one, and other African countries, by the way, even because if you even go beyond to Zimbabwe and Zambia, and this wildlife is mainly based on what has in tourism come to be known as the Big Five. Rwanda has also developed and now has the Big Five. and that is why they did their best to ensure that they get the big five. Those big five, for those who are new in the field of tourism, have wildlife or animals that include the lion, the leopard, the buffalo, the rhinoceros, and the elephant. Those have been identified as the big five, which have formed a like for the game drives. So the game driving or game viewing activity in most of our national parks in East Africa, through most of these countries of our East African region, is based on that. However, there are also other wildlife activities like avitourism, or which is based on birds. This is also related to wildlife. So wildlife is not only the big five. Wildlife also touches on the birding or the avitourism. East Africa is rich in terms of different bird species. Uganda alone has about 1,000 species of birds. Rwanda also has about 900 or more bird species of birds. Tanzania has lots of birds. Kenya has lots of birds. So the birding or the avitourism is also part of the wildlife tourism. So away from wildlife tourism products, we also have other natural geographical tourism products. These other natural geographical tourism products I'm talking about have natural attractions like mountains, other natural attractions, geographical, that's why I said natural geographical attraction. Mountains, we have these in East Africa. In fact, some of the highest mountains or the highest mountains in Africa are here in East Africa. So we are lucky that we have these, like Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest in Africa. Then Mount Kenya, which is the second highest in Africa. All these are above 5,000 meters high. They are both in East Africa. So these are the others which are part of the other natural geographical features. Actually, where these are, also national parks have been created. So you find national parks have been created where you have the other wildlife I've mentioned, but also national parks have been created where we have some of these other natural geographical features, like Mount Kenya is a national park, Mount Kilimanjaro is a national park, Rwenzori, which is the third highest mountain, the Rwenzori Mountains, which cuts across Uganda and DRC, is also a park, is also a national park. Then we have the volcanoes which are part of the Virunga ranges, which can be found in the Rwanda, the Uganda. They are shared, and also in the DRC. It's a complex of about 8 volcanoes. So mountains, those are among the other geographical features. We are gifted with these in East Africa. However, those are not the only other natural geographical features. We have lots of lakes. East Africa is a region known to be the Great Lakes region. These Great Lakes are among the biggest in the world, and we have some of these here. We have Great Lakes of North America, but we also have the Great Lakes of East Africa, which are among the biggest in the world, which include lakes like Victoria, which is second biggest in the world, but the biggest here in Africa. We have lakes like Tanganyika. This is also another of those. These are all here in our region of Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda. We have several other lakes. The Kivu Lake here in Rwanda, the lakes like Edward, Albert, and others. Then we have rivers. Also, East Africa is the source of the longest river in the world and in Africa, the Great River Nile, which flows from Lake Victoria, but has sources even which are as far as the Nyungwe National Park in Rwanda, and the Burundians also have what they claim to be another source, so the farthest. So we have very many of these rivers, but the River Nile is one of the greatest here that we can talk about. It is here in East Africa. It starts flowing from East Africa here. It has its sources here in East Africa. Then it flows all through from Lake Victoria through Uganda as the White Nile, then continues as the White Nile, Victoria Nile, into White Nile, through Sudan, through Egypt, and pours its waters into the Mediterranean Sea. And so all these geographical features, they have all contributed a lot to the development of tourism and activities, many activities. So actually, the blue tourism, which you were talking about last week, much of the blue tourism, though it is not yet well developed in our region, but some of the developments related to blue tourism are being done in terms of activities which are being developed on some of these many rivers and some of these lakes that we have. Boat rides as activities for tourism, kayaking, and other activities like whitewater rafting along the River Nile is done also in some of countries like in Uganda along the River Nile. There are waterfalls there where it is done. Bujagali used to be there, now the Ntanda waterfalls in the Jinja side. So there are activities that are being developed here.
Even night fishing in Rwanda on Kivu.
Night fishing on Kivu, bird watching. So there are different activities. So these are the main product and all that. The other, because the question was on which are the major ones. The major ones. When you move away from the other natural geographical features, which by the way I've not mentioned all, because we have others like waterfalls, caves, and many others. Hot springs, both in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, the hot springs, and in Rwanda, male and female. By the way, these hot springs are both can be both male and female. So all those. But away from those other natural geographical features, we have heritage tourism products. These are major here in our region of East Africa. Heritage, to simplify for those who may not know what these are about, in tourism, when we talk about heritage, we are talking about two elements there: history and culture. So we have many of these products here in our region. Important historical sites, some as old as 500 or so years ago. For example, Fort Jesus in Mombasa is a heritage site, is a historical site. That fort, which was built more than 500 years ago by the Portuguese in Mombasa. There are historical sites in Malindi. There are historical sites in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, and others like the old slave markets and all that, which are related to the history of slave trade around East Africa. We have many other historical sites in Uganda, in Rwanda. There are different historical sites that some were left behind or built or constructed during the time of the colonialists, because we had different colonialists here in our region. The British were in Kenya, Uganda, and later also in Tanzania. But the Germans were also much earlier in Tanzania, but also were in Rwanda earlier. Then the Belgians were also here. So there are different such historical sites. But we also have cultural sites. Culture is a very important component of our tourism product. Culture is about the livelihood of our people. Tourists are always interested in knowing how people live, their welfare, what foods they eat, how they have always lived in the past and all that. And whenever they come to our destination countries, they find uniqueness in our cultural elements. So these have led to the developments of different cultural centers, cultural villages, where different cultural elements are showcased through cultural entertainment, for example, our cultural dances and all that. And we have very many of those cultural centers and villages, all the way from in all these different countries and all that. Take the example of the Ngomongo cultural village in Mombasa. We have cultural villages here in Rwanda. We have different cultural villages wherever you might visit here in East Africa. And these have helped a lot in promoting and preserving our cultures, so that our culture can be used to promote. And through the culture also, it has touched on some community-based
tourism.
Exactly. Which is done by the local communities participating, because in tourism it is very important to also involve the local community. And one of the ways the local community have been involved a lot in our tourism is through this product of culture and heritage. They showcase it a lot, they participate, they have formed community-based tourism cooperatives, like the fishing you were talking about earlier. The night fishing on Lake Kivu is done by local community people and all that, to show how the Rwandan people have always done their fishing of on that Lake Kivu and all that. So this one is wide. If we are to talk about the heritage tourism, there is a lot.
Maybe Celia, if I can chip in, before you forgot, you finished this topic of tourism products, I think our audience would want you to talk about the gorillas, which is the cash cow of the 3 East African countries.
Yes.
As we conclude, which is Uganda, and which is Rwanda, and which is DRC, as the cash cow. That is the major attraction.
Yes.
So maybe probably you would sum it up as you conclude. And
the gorilla tourism, I could have mentioned it when I was talking about the first product, the wildlife. I don't know why I actually did not comment, because I went to the big 5, then came to the avitourism, the birds. But of course, primates, away from the avitourism, primates. Let me even now broaden it and describe them as the primates. The major one being the gorillas, the mountain gorillas, which are unique to our region, found only in Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC, which still has some of these mountain gorillas. So they are part of the primates. But to broaden it, we have other primates which are also very popular for tourism, like the golden monkeys, then the chimpanzees. These chimpanzees are also being offered all over in East Africa. In Tanzania, they have. In Uganda, we have them in Chibale National Park. Here in Rwanda, they are also available in the Nyungwe National Park, and also in the new park, Mukura National Park, which is the new one, which has been developed here. They are also there. So these ones are among the main ones under primates. As I conclude, before, there was a third part of, there was a question on where are these. I've been touching a bit on this, where are these products found. These products, I was already mentioning it. I will quickly sum up this. Where are these products found? They are found, one, in the national parks.
Yes.
These are one of the locations. I was mentioning it as I was moving along. They are found in the national parks, that's one. Two, they are found in wildlife reserves. Three, some of these products are also found within the community. Within the community, what I mean is, for example, some of these heritage or culture, they are showcased everywhere within the community. So you could also say they are also found in different community areas, whether in the rural or in the urban environment. The urban environment. So others are found also within the cities. So we have some of these tourism products, like museums and others which are related to history and culture within major cities, whether in Nairobi, in Kigali, in Kampala, within the cities. And that's why in tourism we also have city tours or urban tourism. So I think I have also mentioned that, because that touches on the issue of locations, different places where these products can be found everywhere. national parks, and some of these mountains, I already said, also have been gazetted as national parks, the lakes and all that. So they are all over, some in rural areas, some in cities, and in different places or locations within the communities. I think with that, I have probably ably answered the 3 questions which you put to me. I hope the viewers will benefit from our discussion.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to host one of the senior experts, and I think our audience has learned much from him about what is a tourism product, the major products of East Africa, and where these products can be found. He has discussed it, and if there is any question about these products, you go to the section comment. We are together. He's always willing to come and share knowledge. Please, that's how a tourism product is understood and where it can be found. We shall be adding on. Please subscribe to get more knowledge, to get more experts. And I want to thank you, Senior Anderson Booker, for this topic of discussion. Thank you very much, our viewers.
Thank you.